So we're gonna kick off with the story that comes from Melbourne, Australia, where probably the luckiest guy in the world lives. Bill Morgan, a local truck driver, was involved in a horrific and life-changing accident. He was involved in a truck crash where he also suffered a heart attack. Man, you have to admit, hearing this, you would think that he's the definition of unlucky. But there is a bit more to this story. So after being presumed clinically dead for 14 minutes and then spending 12 days in a coma, he awoke completely fine. But this isn't where the story ends. A year later, he proposed to his girlfriend and she said yes. And you'd think that's good news. Listen to this. 2 weeks later, he buys a scratch card and wins a car. This eventually gets picked up by a local news company and they ask him to reenact buying the ticket. While the cameras are rolling, he scratches the card and guess what? Yep, he wins again, and this time it's $250,000 Australian dollars. And after all this, he actually said he's giving up scratch cards. Man, if I had his luck, I would never stop buying scratch cards.
My name's Erwin Ralston. My parents are down on Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado. Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them. Be sure of it. I would appreciate it.
Second story, many people may have already heard of. It's a story of human will to survive. On April 26th of 2003, Aaron Ralston was hiking through a Blue John Canyon. While he was descending a slot canyon, a suspended boulder he was climbing down became dislodged, crushing his right hand and pinning it against canyon wall. And since Aaron didn't inform anybody of his hiking plans, there was nobody searching for him. Assuming that he would die, he spent the next 5 days slowly going through the rest of his supplies, sipping smaller amounts of remaining water and slowly eating the small amount of food he had left. After being trapped there for 3 days, delirious and dehydrated, he decided to amputate his arm to escape. It took him further 2 days to finally be able to free himself. He was forced to cut his arm with a dull multi-tool, as well as break the bone to get free. Hearing this, you do have to stop and think, what would you do if you were in the same situation? How far would you go to survive? Thankfully, Aaron did get out and was able to tell his story that eventually got made into a movie starring James Franco. So we all know that lightning never strikes the same place twice. So the next story is exception that proves the rule. 31-year-old Casey Wagner, who works as a rodeo clown, was attending an off-road racing event when a storm kicked up. While taking a shelter under the nearby tree, he got hit with the lightning. And as he was dropping down to his knees, he got hit again. Luckily, there was a nurse nearby that rushed to his aid. Then he was lucky enough to come out of this situation with an interesting story to tell, rather than a missing body part or worse. There was a possible explanation given to this. Apparently, he was carrying a plastic poncho which may have gotten charged with static electricity that may have attracted the lightning. According to the National Weather Service, no place is safe outside during the thunderstorm, so remember, seek shelter in a significant structure if possible, or if you can't, an open field is better than hiding under a tree or anything nearby that conducts electricity. Sometimes even protective gear can't help you, as it didn't stop Eduardo Olieta from getting impaled. A 24-year-old construction worker got impaled by a 6-foot-long metal bar that fell from above. Shockingly, Eduardo was not only alive, but fully conscious as he arrived at the hospital and was able to explain to doctors what exactly had happened. Even Chief of Staff Luis Alexander Essinger in a local hospital could not believe this and called it a miracle. After a 5-hour surgery, the metal bar was removed and Eduardo made a full recovery in just weeks. And the strangest part is that there was no apparent damage to his brain function. Michael Holmes, one of the top skydivers in the world, is living proof that anything can happen. He went for a routine skydive that turned out anything but ordinary. His primary parachute failed to open fully and he got tangled. Even opening the reserve parachute did nothing to slow him down. So while plummeting to ground, at the last moments before impact, Michael waved goodbye to his helmet camera before he hit the ground and camera went black. But that day he wasn't alone. With him was his friend Jonathan King, who also caught everything on camera, where you can see him rushing over to Michael after landing nearby. And to everyone's surprise, Michael is alive. And not only he's alive, but he escaped with only punctured lung and a broken ankle. And to prove that he is a real boss, he went back up in the sky only a few weeks later. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.